Okay, everyone, we are back with a new demo for Steam's next fest, the All Whispering Tome, which is different from what I normally do, but I wanted to try something different this next fest. And it's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of reading. But I'm into it, I don't mind reading. So let's start. Choose a story. You can read stories by clicking on their headings. Click on the text of the ribbon on the upper corner to return to this index, okay. A lonely grave or a mummy's option. Let's do mummy's option. Opinion. Mummy's opinion. They have binded the thoughts, fears, regrets, and ideals within flesh, so they too shall be buried. Okay. I know we have to click on stuff that seems out of place, maybe something like that. Mummy's opinion. What would he think if he was to see the modern world? 12,800,000 and 12th visitor. BC 1279 moment of death. Illness always finds a way. If it has found me, even though I wasn't meddling with common people, or let anyone near to me for 4 years, it can find anyone. Of course, I would be lying if I were to say I wasn't offended. I should have been privileged. I am a pharaoh, as my father and his fathers before. I am waiting curiously that which reasoning will be used to explain my death because of the same disease that kills a beggar. I've started not to feel my body. There are no signs of any pain, but I can still see and hear my surroundings. Despite the fact that my eyes are closed, my soul must have been released from my body, but it shouldn't have been this way. After I've been mummified, while I've been escorted to my tomb, the priest should have touched my mouth and eyes during the ritual, so I could see, speak, hear, and eat in the afterlife. But I am unable to see and hear already. Even though I can't talk, it shouldn't be like this. There is something wrong, but there is nothing I can do besides watching and hearing. There is no smell, no feeling, nor pain, only images and sounds. My daughters, Tia and Hunutmir, are weeping together, holding their head down. They were loving me as I was loving them, but I think a woman's love is deeper than a man's. It's like the sadness in their glances is taking my non-existing breath away. I will not see their getting married or my grandchildren. This is sad, yes, but seeing them as young and far away from death as they are now, while I'm crossing the river of death, is taking the load off my chest. In my mind, there are memories of blurry regrets about my daughters. I should have spent more time with them. I should have shown my love to them more oftenly. Oh, how clear death made my visions now. My dear wife is not by my side. She must have been falling sick because of my death. I hope she gets well soon so I can see her before I'm buried into my tomb. Even though there are no place to her or her love in my life, which has been spent with wars, I always loved her. Or I wonder whether these are excuses that I repeat to myself. It appears so. I remember her with regret too. My son Ramses is standing right beside me, but he is not crying. He is proud and strong, as he should be. I've raised him as a soldier. He learned not to fear death, which means just a departure from this world, or get sad because of it. My faith for him to empower and expand our reign is absolute. I hope that these ambitions that I've inspired to him does not make him forget the things I've taught to him about science and art. He seems pretty strong even while watching his father's death. It is really heartbreaking to see your loved ones cry. I am really happy that I didn't see my son crying in his age. I am laying sick in my room nearly for 2 months, even though I was laying sick in my room for nearly 2 months. Even though my loved ones tried to give me strength by their words, I was able to sense that they were preparing the event of my death. So, did I prepare? What was to prepare for? Immortality is my birth and ancestral right. I have complete trust to my loved ones and high priest for perfectly preparing me to my voyage to the afterlife. Besides, they have no other chance. My son will succeed me, has to fulfill these preparations perfectly in order to take my place. Our culture, our law, our faith demands that. It is surprising to see that it is surprising to see the things which were sure as stone while I was alive are now becoming the source of doubt in my death. Another unpredictable effect of death. They've kept me in my room for some time after they've cleaned my body and put my best clothes on me. Since my battle with this illness that continued for months has weakened me horribly, it took a while for them to bring back the formidable looks of the warrior pharaoh, but with the correct materials, they've succeeded. By putting some support under my bed in my bedroom, they made it look higher and likened it to some kind of altar. They were going to keep me here for one more day, so my kin and the notable people who have traveled all the corners from my dynasty could visit me. BC 1729 mummification. I've never been present during the mummification process of my father or any other persons, so I didn't ever see this process. Of course, I know its details, but living it for yourself is another kind of experience. As my last will, they will take my body to Assyrian. It was already Assyrian's purpose to serve me as a worthy tomb, one of my greatest monuments. But before that, I have been brought to the temple, which was closer to my palace, and first phase of my mummification will take place in there. Together with me, my high priest, another 3 priests, and 7 apprentices have entered the temple. Since the mummification process is one of the holiest rituals according to our belief, it was not an experience for undeserving eyes. But essentially, I was aware that I was being carried into a slaughterhouse. Still, the fact that this was necessary to my ascend is causing the feeling of physical dread to diminish. After all, I wasn't going to feel any pain. Different colors of candles are burning around the stone table, which they've laid me on inside the main hall of the temple. They're illuminating inside with a spiritual dimness. I can also see that there are incense lit around me, but I don't know how they smell since I have no feeling of scent. This must be a good thing, because I have doubts which suggest that not all the scents in the future will be pleasant. I wanted to feel the cold air of the stone table when I was first laid on, but I couldn't, missing the cold. Weird. The priest removed my clothes and rubbed some medicine and balms on my body while enchanting some prayers. My sight is still stuck with my body. I can't pull my head up and see what is happening because I'm laying down on my back. But when I see the bloody tools which were coming and going towards the area of my belly, I understood that the mummification has began. It was going to take a long time, approximately 2 months. That's a long time. Before they mummified me and put me in the tomb, they had to take all the moisture in my body, and for that, they were going to cover my body for many times with many different balms and weight. They've removed my eyes too, put them in 2 jars, and put glass orbs in my eye sockets, but my sight didn't go away. I can still see. So it seems that seeing is a skill which related to my soul, not to my body. But it shouldn't be like this. This does not suit to anything I've learned or believe. It has been 55 days and mummification is still continuing. I don't remember the details because I frequently start to fall into my thoughts lately. It is really astounding to see that the ones who've prepared the mummification can still be able to keep their reference. They are really faithful individuals indeed, because the things which have been done in my body differ only a little from a butcher's work. I wonder how would they feel if they were to know my thoughts on this, or what they were actually feeling now. Were they still thinking that I'm their God's incarnate after opening up and seeing what's inside my body? That's interesting. It has taken a very long time for them to cover me with linen lacing covered in special mixtures. After rolling every one of my limbs with linen, they are waiting for 8 hours and move on to the next limb. With this pace, it took nearly 2 weeks to cover all my body. Details of this process were written in Ra's Golden Book of Life, but I've never bothered to look at them while I was alive. Before finishing my mummification completely, they've put me inside a golden sarcophagus, which has been prepared earlier. The face with eloquent details of the golden sarcophagus, which symbolize the power and immortality, will going to be my face in the afterlife. Will be my face in the afterlife. I'm guessing that's what it's supposed to say. So it was true, because I can still see and hear after they fully put me inside the golden sarcophagus, just as I expected. This is my new form. Yes, they've put me inside the sarcophagus before finishing the mummification completely, because as far as I remember, the remaining part of the mummification was going to take place in the tomb chamber in Osirian, which will be eternal resting place on my mortal body. BC 1279 burial. While the sarcophagus that houses my mortal body is being transferred to the temple of Osirian, it has been carried on a cart hauled by a slave. I was able to hear the people around on the balconies and walls while I was laying on the cart, and see them too. Most of them were crying, and they should be crying. They were loving me. No, this is not actually true. Why am I still telling this lie to myself? What is the meaning of keep fooling myself anymore? They were going to get whipped if they would not show their love to their ruler. That is why they were crying. Of course, maybe there are some among them who are crying devoutly because they've lost their status because of my death. But even in death, the exception was proving the rule. Death was not an exception. I am not an exception. I watched the sky constantly during our slow and dull travel to the temple after we left the city. There were no clouds, and gazing into clear blue sky was calming. The place where I would be ascending, the afterlife that I was going to travel, is behind these skies. But a single thought that suddenly appeared in my mind had terrified me. I was going to be put inside the temple soon, and after the mummification, the entrance of the temple was going to be closed off with granite blocks permanently. That means darkness. How long will my ascent take? I will leave this body immediately after the mummification, or I have to stay inside the temple in the dark for a while before that. Written and verbal sources of our belief is not mentioning that part, and I didn't think about it to ask that to a priest while I was alive. But the reasonable deduction was always that I would ascend right after my mummification, after the prayer was finished. Yes, it should be that way. How long could I endure to gaze into the darkness anyway? Temple of Osirian, my masterpiece. We're not in yet, but I know that it looks as majestic as it looks from the inside. I was present at nearly every phase of its construction. Like my son Ramses, this will also be my legacy to the ones who remain. 85 of my slaves had died during its construction. That's why for 15 years the name Abydos reminds me an Assyrian to everyone, everywhere. It took 4 hours to arrive to the temple. They've laid me down on a shrine at the entrance. At the court at the entrance where the people had gathered, high priest uttered the necessary prayers and touched my eyes and mouth. I was already able to see and hear behind the linen, so nothing changed. But I wasn't able to start talking either. I'm going to change this, but I know it's supposed to be. My wife is nowhere to be seen. Did something happen to her? No, if it was the case, they would have brought her body with me too. I wish I could see her for one last time. An indescribable weight has rained down on my heart because I couldn't see her before I was entombed. I wanted to shout with anger and to contest. I wanted to command, but all I could do is hearing and seeing. Now, in this condition, there is nothing I can command. They've closed the entrance of the temple with a temporary veil. After they've put me on another shrine inside the temple. Only the priests and apprentices had entered inside. Even my family wasn't allowed. This was a very important and strict rule. The opposite would desecrate the holiness of my eternal resting place. I've watched the priests while they are reopening my sarcophagus and put my mortal body onto another table. Among them, I only know the high priest personally. He had this duty for a long time, and he was a loyal man. He had caused no problem for me during my rule. Other priests and apprentices were looking quite serious and respectful while they were working on me. I wonder, is there respect for me or the high priest who was watching them? Mummification lasted for 2 more weeks. The priests work for 4 hours a day and they've left me, so the bombs they put on me can work on my body. After a couple of days, I've started to crave their comings and goings. Because when someone stays alone, he will run out of things to think, and then only the worries of fear remains. After the last linen had put on me, they've put my body inside the gold sarcophagus and closed it off. And they've also put this sarcophagus inside a stone sarcophagus. The face of this stone sarcophagus is also shaped as my immortal face. Again, my sight and my hearing are with me. It was like my eyes now are the eyes of the exaggerated face on the sarcophagus, and I am seeing through them now. They've lit the candles and incense around my sarcophagus again. Each of the priests have uttered a prayer, and they've left the place one by one with reverence. Moment of my ascending must be close. Even though my heart wasn't beating, the excitement filled inside of me. Yes, I am ready to leave everything about this world behind and reunite my ancestors. High priest too came and said his prayers. Then he took a tankard-full of the mixture which he had prepared earlier, and poured around my sarcophagus. Then he left too. It's a really odd feeling to watch him walk out of the long corridor of the temple and leave me here. I still haven't ascended. After a while, I started to hear the struggle of the slaves. They must be trying to place the gigantic granite blocks which will seal the entrance of the temple, because the daylight coming from these paths started to get lower and lower. Then finally, they've all disappeared. Silence. I've never experienced such silence in my life. I was all alone before when I was on top of the same mountain during nights far away from the city when I was a soldier. But even then, it wasn't this silent. There were the sounds of night creatures, wind, or bugs. But now, absolute silence. Such a crushing presence does this silence have. How can this absolute silence be so loud in a degree that stops my thought in my head? Now there's only the dim lights of the candles which are burning. Since they have put the 2.5 meters long sarcophagus vertically, I can easily see the broad main hall of the temple in front of me. But across the hall, the corridor which the high priest walked and left 1.5 hours ago is under the shadow. Light from the candles could not reach there. BC 1250, silence. How long was it since the high priest walked out from the corridor and candles burnt up? Months? A year? At the beginning, first couple of days, I was able to feel the flow of time. Even though the only thing I can perceive was darkness and silence, I was able to track the flow of time for a while. But after 1 week, the time has lost its meaning absolutely and completely. And there is something more that I didn't notice before, this horrible awareness. Why am I not able to sleep? Why am I not I don't even know how to reword this. Why have I not phased into thoughts and dreams? This monumental darkness and silence have left me alone truly with myself for the first time. Something I've been hearing for years, a fact that I know, gaining another meaning in my mind. Could this be the intent of immortality? Standing in this darkness and silence forever with awareness, how cruel of an existence is this? How long will it take for me to go insane? BC 1100, darkness. Oh, what I wouldn't give just to see the sky, my children or my wife one more time, or to see something, anything besides this darkness, to even hear the sound of my loved ones, a bird flowing up a river, no, even a bug crawling on the ground. How long will it take for the sounds and images to lose their meanings? When will my memories start to fade away and perish? When will these beautiful images in my mind, colors and lights, the songs which have been saying to my ear once upon a time, and the laughter of the children going to slip into the nothingness. My nickname was Marin Pa, Pa's favorite, Pa's chosen. So where is Pa? So where is Ta? It is written Min Marie on my throne. Where is Ra? BC 1078 visitors. How many years have passed? I don't know. Besides, why should I have to know? Humankind records the time for the things that they do while they're living. Why should I do that? I believe I'm free of that need and necessity now. Yes, I don't feel like thinking about time or asking about it anymore. The uneasiness caused by the knowledge that the time is passing by somewhere for me is now removed from my shoulders. This is giving an odd feeling of relief and apathy to me. My tomb is being opened again. Grave robbers, maybe? It might be, because some of my earthly possessions are also buried with me. But now I see that these are the priests of Horus. They're here to renew my tomb, hearing their arrival and light pouring inside after they removed the granite blocks. I wasn't this happy for a long, long time. The priest's voices while they're praying, friction sound made by the brooms they're using to brush the ground, renewed and welcome light of the candles burned, seeing that such a few things could make a person happy. Such a few could be enough. I'm trying to perceive even the tiniest detail with my ears and my eyes while they're leaving again. I'm observing every speck of them. These priests are different. They're high priests too. Marks of their clothes, colors, and fabric are all different. How long has it been? Fashion of a priest's cloth is not something that changes in a few years. The candles they've burned have faded away after a few hours and after they've sealed the entrance with granite blocks again. And my old friend darkness has returned. BC Oblivion. Only thing I can do is forgetting again and again, one by one, without mercy. I'm forgetting. First, I've started to forget the faces of my daughters. They were the ones who I've spent my time the least in my family. I succumbed in the horrible feeling of sadness and guilt because I forgot their faces. But anyone would have experienced the same thing if they were in my condition. Then I forgot the faces of my wife and my son. But worse, I forgot my wife's name. How will I keep existing within this sham? I can still reimagine some things I saw when I was alive, like skies, trees, rivers. I can reimagine the sounds like I'm hearing them again. But doing this is getting harder and harder. I remember the sheep and goats, but 1 hour ago, yesterday, or last month, I've noticed that I can't remember the sounds they make. I believe it was yesterday. Maybe it was years ago. Sometimes I'll stare into the darkness and listen to the endless silence for hours, maybe for days without thinking anything. This is not sleep, because I'm doing that while I'm aware every second, feeling the darkness and silence around me. People do not know when they're alive. That's how priceless to fall into sleep and forget yourself. BC 300, memory of the sound. It must have been years. Yes, it must be at least 10-15 years since I was first buried. I've just heard something for the first time after all these years. A sound interrupted this deep and restless and ruthless silence. At the moment, I could hear it in my entire existence. I focused to it at the same time. Yes, I've enjoyed these sounds which have lasted a couple of seconds. Deep snarls and attritions. Probably an earthquake. Now I remember that I've heard this sound before a couple of times after I've been buried. So now I'm starting to forget the things that occurred after my death too. What wouldn't I give to just mumble of melody? AC 100, Cethos. Grace for calling me with the name. I've learned it so much when I first hear it, so I'm used to it for a while. I've liked it so much when I first hear it, so I've used it for a while. Yes, I remember the feeling of that moment, but what was the name? Yes, I remember. Sethos. What was the name of the temple that I'm in? I don't remember, but I was the one who made it built. I remember that much. My masterpiece, just like my son. My son. Since there are things that I'm afraid to try to remember, like the names of my wife and my children, I've learned to direct my mind to other topics very long ago. My biggest fear is not being able to remember them even if I would try. So for now, I'm hiding behind the lie that I don't remember them because I didn't really try. I've made many wars with Hittians, Syrians, and Palestinians while I was trying to expand my lands. Yes, these places and the images related to them are still in my mind. So it means the war pierces so deep in my mind, it makes it very hard to forget these memories. AC 500, Seti Mary Inta. Kingdom of Egypt was one of the mightiest kingdoms of its time because of me. It was, right? So I wonder how are the things now. I wonder, what is my son doing right now? He must be very old for now. I wonder if he was able to become a successful ruler like me. Me? What was my name? Oh yes, Seti Mary Inta. My ascend. Yes, I was waiting for my ascend, right? So why was I waiting? AC 1100, Undying Death. I wish I preoccupied or learned basic mathematics early enough. After passing years inside the darkness, this wish has landed on the top of the list of my real regrets. All this spare time, there is nothing to mess around or nothing to distract. Oh, what secrets of mathematics could I have been able to solve? Or I would have learned any other science. But the only thing I was interested in besides wars and ruling my lands was art. Quality and quantity of art showed such a growth in my domain under my rule. I'm not regretful about my interest in this life. I just had lackings. I hope my son didn't follow my steps and my mistakes. My awareness is bringing me quite odd questions for years in this darkness. I wonder if the other pharaohs are also thinking the same question in their tombs right now. The sin which has been foreseen on my belief didn't occur yet, and it doesn't look like it will. Could this undying death is present in all the other tombs of the earth? AC 1881, Radiance. There. Another earthquake, or no, priests who came to clean my tomb again. A horrible explosion sound. What could cause such an explosion? Fireballs falling from the sky? Has the world come to an end? Who could blame me for desiring that? Clatter and friction sounds after the explosion lasted for months. Yes, it must be months. Month, day, year? How foolish and unnecessary units actually. At last, the granite blocks is being moved away and the entrance to my tomb is being opened again. After how many years? 20? 50? A firing red glow has filled inside. The source of this glow is also sizzling strongly, and it's on the ground right now. It looks like a candle, but its flame is not weak like candles. Very powerful. It must be the work of gods. Some ones are coming inside after the bright red lights. Is this it? Has my ascent arrived at last? The ones who come inside are humans. They've all scattered around every corner of the hall and started to examine everything, but one came towards me. He is saying something by looking at me, but I've never heard this language he speaks before. I didn't even hear something similar to it. On the other hand, he could be talking the language I speak, because it's only natural for someone who forgets his own name to forget how to speak his own language. Quite normal. With this though, suddenly I feel like I remember the feeling of laughing. AC 1950, Ascend. What a fool I was. While I was thinking that my son is still living, even the grandsons of my grandson has become soil. Almost 3,000 years. Is this how much I've lost track of time within the darkness and silence? It is nearly a century now after my tomb has been discovered, and my sarcophagus has been brought to a place they call a museum. First they've pulled out me from my grave and made some research on my body. Then they've put me back to my sarcophagus and started to exhibit me in their museum, just like I exhibited the animals I've slayed in my palace walls. AC 2018, Fartaliros. It nearly took me 6 years to learn 3 of the modern world languages by watching and observing my visitors. This is the best a man can do without being able to practice them without a teacher. Thanks to the devices called watches around me and observing the hours of the visits, I've become able to track the time again. People are very People are very advanced on science and mechanics now. The things which would have been worshipped in my time are now being carried in people's pockets. If I didn't have the time to get used to them, I would have reacted that way too. People are able to enter into the museum I'm in for 40 liras. Since many people visit here every day, it must be an insignificant price. Thanks to the guys who came here and talked every day. I remember when I was born, names of my wife, children, even my mother's name. No, I've learned them again. I've embarrassed while I'm listening to the guys that are telling my life to the visitors. They know things about my family much better than me, and my life as well. If only they would know how important to me these crumbs of knowledge I learned from them that they repeat every day with boredom before me. Remembering these priceless pieces of knowledge and appreciate these true values this time. This must be my ascent. Men Matra, eternal is the justice of Ra. Wow. What a story. It's a sad story, honestly. But I don't even know what could have been misplaced here. Let's see. Want to go back to the beginning. Okay. Mommy's opinion. I'm just gonna skim. I don't know. Let's see, go back. So what's the interesting? So oh wait, this is the books. Let's go back. What could it be? Maybe I should not have said that. Maybe? But it's not letting me pick it. Missing the code, weird. I feel like that's it. Maybe I should not have said that. I'm missing the code. Let's see. Guess that's not it. Darker than my soul, darkness, my masterpiece. Did something happen? No, that's not it. Still haven't extended. No idea. Either way, I'm not reading this one yet. Only because I've seen on... Oh, this is short. Let's do the lone grave then. A lonely grave. Being forgotten has been celebrated for the first time. None was invited. Without a name, without a date, and without an owner. Who could have thought that I would weep at the side of a grave that I didn't know, and the wind would be my companion with falling leaves of a willow tree, first and last visitor? If you're not lucky enough, your path leads you to this track at the hill. You will see a grave after you've passed the fields and the wide wood. It doesn't catch one's eye because of the willow tree overshadows it. Don't waste your time looking for other graves. That place is not a graveyard. That is a single, unnamed, and alone grave. I don't suggest you go there while it's raining or there are clouds in the sky. The sight of a lone grave is sorrowful, even by its own. Though it was midsummer when I first saw the grave, and it was still woeful to see such a thing. Still, let me warn you, save your tears to the graves of your loved ones. It was after 2 hours that the sun's scorching heat had passed, and saddening rosiness of the evening sky was about to come a couple hours later. When I first arrived at the hilltop, I only saw the willow tree. I was greeted by an awe-inspiring wind, and the shiver which was full of complaint coming from the willow tree. It was like the willow tree that had been covering the grave with its branches, like it was hiding it from unwanted eyes, was condemning me for being there. Why would someone visit after all these years? Or it was happy that someone had finally visited the grave. Who knows? As a human being, I was too attached to words and letters to communicate. I wasn't good at understanding the language of the wind, trees, or the sky, so I will not accuse that tree wrongly any longer. Really, why was I there? My path wasn't near to the place. None's path would. Did someone describe that path to me? No. Yes, I remember. I did choose that road because it was higher than my surroundings and I was trying to find my way. First, I thought that I saw some smooth and straight piece of rock while I can sit and rest for a while on it when I reached the hilltop. That was the reason for me getting relaxed and slow while I was approaching there. The reason for me to stop completely was seeing that there was actually a stone placed for marking the stone of the grave. It had been the same smooth stones on all four sides. They were covered with a mossy and moisty layer, and they were 20 centimeters above the ground. The grave itself had 1.5 meters of length. Was this a grave of a child or someone very short? Someone who had loved ones and someone loved. One who secretly wished that this person was not as lonely right now while he or she was living. At its top right side, there is an unsophisticated gravestone which doesn't even have any writings on it. Whoever it was, whoever it means to them, they didn't even try to write a name on the gravestone. What could it mean to not have even a name on your gravestone? Not a lovely word, not name, not a date. But here was a grave and a gravestone made for him or her. At least they did think that it's worth that much. A piece of cloth was tied on the gravestone, and it was darkened with the time's mercilessness. I wonder which color this cloth was before, or was it carrying any meaning, or where did it come from? Was it from a gift which came from a loved one's dress? If it's like that lone, unnamed grave was not tragic enough. Of course, wherever or whenever you see a grave, it affects you, but this is different. Being buried there alone, in a place far away out of sight, out of mind, without a single draw on your gravestone, with a piece of cloth which is meaning and faced by the time's ruthless and fair effect tied on your gravestone. I'm sure if you would have visited there, you would too wish that the owner of the gravestone didn't know how lonely his or her grave looks. I wasn't sure how, but I knew that I was the first visitor of this grave. I knew that it was lonely there for long years. It was getting older with an orphan melancholy. The willow tree which was covering and protecting it was doing it like it was its duty to protect it. Like I said before, I do not know much about the behavior of the trees. I stood there and listened to the wind. I stood there and watched the grave while it was getting older. Leaves have fallen and hid it, and these leaves have become earth in my thoughts. No, this sadness was not present because of the sunset, for I was sure it was sad and lonely there during sunrise, too. The reason was being there. This grave should be alone and sad. This was the state which was properly fitting for it. None should have been there and named it. That's why I left. With the weight of my sorrowful soul, my trip down the hill was quick. That grave, that nameless, dateless, and forlorn grave will always be alone there. None's path will lead there anymore. Not a single tear from a loved one will fall on this soil. None from plants around it. Sorrowful, but somehow a noble solitude. Could this be him? A peaceful and alone grave which is unique without peers and not seeking any understanding. A grave that doesn't need Doesn't need anything, not even visitors or even its existence being known. Still, in case your path does lead you there, if you climb the hill after passing the fields and the broad wood, turn back when you see that melancholy willow tree. All the morning so. If there are black clouds on the sky or it's raining, if you have a weight on your heart and you're longing for something, turn back without even glaring at the willow tree. There is nothing you will find there that is relevant to happiness. That's the I think I like the mummy story way better. This one was just depressing. A whole bunch of depression. The mummy one was too, but I don't know, I just like that one better. But this one was good too though. Shockingly. But it says just someone looking at a random grave or finding a grave and looking at it. Be like, oh no, I'm gonna leave you here. Let's see. Is it? See? It's only these two for now. I thought it would have been. Yes, I remember. Or why was I here? That's why I left. I should have been paying attention while I was reading, but I really wasn't. I just was reading the story. I'm going to just click to see if anything happens at this point. Cause I have an idea. I don't think there's anything here. I feel like this is really cheating at this point. You know what? I don't want to keep doing that. I want to. Let's see. Let's see. What is the not what the point, but I need to go and see what's on. Let's go to the Steam page. And then I knew it was gonna do that. Decipher these stories. Hint story within the nature of the stories. Oh, it could be like minimal stuff. Like it don't have to be. Wish I would have knew that. Wish I would have knew that a long time ago. It could be just a word, random word. Let's see. So it really could just be a letter. So maybe the stuff I was bypassing should have been clicked. Okay. Okay. Let's go back. Little mummy. And then look at that. That's annoying. I'm so mad at myself. Let's go back to the grave. Oh wait, what was that? 8th prisoner. Anathema. The curse in the remedy of his master. The lonely grave. This has something. It could be a freaking letter or something. How many times I had to click it though? I clicked the other one a few times. It should have just been out left, honestly. There's something here. A lone grave without a name. Real tree inspiring. Fab. Alright. Let's go back. There's something in here. I fixed a lot of words in here. Let me see. With wife. Did I prepare? What did I have to prepare for? The 8th prisoner. How many pages? Not too bad. Man, I know there's something here. Let's see. The wind. reach the hilltop. Well, she better put it out on right now. Love my dress is not like that long. Okay, not tragic enough. They should have been leaves, but that's fine. And named it? Huh. Let's see. It has to be. I did that. Where's the one I hit earlier? Oh, it's gone. Hmm. Alright, it's fine. Did one. I technically cheating got off of Steam's video, but it's fine. I am enjoying the stories. I should have enough time for one more. Eighth Prisoner. Anathema. I read that. The curse is the remedy of its master. Prisoner 8. I am seeing people who are reading an article about this exact moment we're having, this conversation and this room. They are thinking about you and me. Some couldn't comprehend the thing before they read it whole, and some appreciating the narrative of our vicious cycle. Some are sorry for you, some are angry to me, but every one of them is right. This cycle is vicious, and its narrative is praiseworthy. Eighth patient. What do you see here? I'm seeing a building with 5 floors, a big building, like a school, brought in somehow an official building, but not actually a school. There is a stormy wind and people are trying to walk towards this building from all around it. They want to get in it, but something is preventing them to enter. No, someone or something. Not someone or something. A rule is preventing them. Yes, they're not able to enter because of a rule. The wind. The storm is so cruel. I can feel the itchiness in people's eyes. After waiting her patient to stop itching his eyes in front of her, Gali took the next image from the table and showed it to her patient. What about this one? Oh, okay. What about this one? A cloudless night sky. It's like an oil painting with very vivid and quality colors, like the Van Gogh guys. But this is a real night sky. Still, the stars are big and bright, like the painter who drew them used excessive amount of paint. And he continued as if recalling a memory. All I can see is this night sky. For some reason, I cannot take my eyes away from the sky and look around. It's like I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Right beside me, other people are also gazing into this view. It's like I can see their stares. Even though their gazes are focused to the night sky, I still feel disturbed by them, because some of the owners of these gazes are very sinister people. While watching her patient, who was uncomfortably and anxiously watching his surroundings, she noted some pointers to her notebook. Dr. Galley was working on this patient for years, so she knew that these reactions were absolutely real. That's why she noted down every little reaction with detailed descriptions. Narratives too, of course. Rorschach's method worked several times on this patient, but partly. She wasn't able to see the results she wanted. That's why for 2 weeks she was using this new method, which she had developed based on Rorschach's. This method of hers was requiring more comprehensive images than Rorschach's. Since they were working this method together for a while, her patient was also accustomed to its mechanics, and he wasn't requiring an additional encouragement or description. She showed the next image. In darkness? It's a museum, but inside glass containers, feelings, memories, and words are being exhibited, not objects. All of these belong to a person. Belonging? What about the darkness? They gotta be the belong. Okay, something's up. We're on page 4. Belong. This is just weird. I don't know how this works. Belong. And the people who were inside and looking at these containers are actually the people who are in this person's life. In that person's life. Friends, kin, families, enemies. Some are lingering in front of the particular memories. They are becoming part of that memory they review. Everyone who paused that anywhere are taking something from the place they paused and putting something in return. Some just putting things without taking any, and some taking things without putting anything inside. An interesting example of emotional intelligence skill. This one. 6 cherries are on top of a round wooden table. They've been ordered to create the shape of a star. And this is also a bottle on the table. And there is also a bottle on the table with a lidded colored liquid in it, lavender soda. Since the liquid inside the bottle is lavender soda, first fruits I said need to be sour cherries, not cherries. Huh? and their amount must be 5, not 6, so something is wrong. But it seems like this mistake is deliberate. The round table under these things is very, very old. It's the first table made in the history of humanity. Gali checked the image she just showed to her patient. The image was describing a black triangle within a green frame. There was no red, no lilac, or any fruit in it. So what is he describing? Even though it was extremely irrelevant, she accepted her patient's description. She was trusting its naturality. She was sure that the image was indeed triggering these aspects in his mind. Now we're getting to the ones which are a little more complex. If you get tired or bored, please tell me. Yes, this one. Gali sipped her tea, which is now less hot after showing the images that consist of complex colors and shapes she was holding, and her patient changed his position to a more comfortable one. His posture and expression was like he was going to start to explain something that he failed to explain it before. Can we take it off and just put explain before? I see two things in this picture. First one is an anathema. Did you take Latin classes in medical school? Anyway, it means a curse in Latin and English. This curse has been cast in days of old, such that it has its own ages and lifetimes in itself. I see its purpose and its content, but it wouldn't be fitting for me to say it, at least for now. And second thing I see is that the interlocutors of this anathema, let's say curse, many people, no, hundreds of people, and one of them is you. Dr. Gali put the now cold tea on the table and looked at her patient. 8th patient, or patient 8. That's what they've been calling him. Because he has no ID or records on him when he first arrived at this facility. And he was refraining to tell anything about his identity for years. He was generally quiet. It's supposed to be quiet? Also, he was both physically and mentally strong as a rock. Because of the patient's eight's unnaturally long and complex responses to Rasher's method, all of the descriptions are weird and interesting at the same time since the beginning of his treatment. But this last narrative was particularly intriguing for Gali because for the first time after years he was including the doctor in his narration. What do you see in this picture that you relate to me? I will say it, but first, is it okay if I ask you a question first? This also wasn't an ordinary reaction, but since she was eager to see where this was going, she shook her head and approved. Miss Doctor, the one who was in our memories or also remembered the same memories. They were at those places while they are remembering. Could they be able to sense it while they're reliving these memories at the same time? This was clearly a question for the world of ideas, a question related to the emotions or feelings. There are no analytical answer to this question. The question itself and the addition of her years-long patient were indicating the same obscurity. But since she wanted to continue the conversation towards this direction, she paused for a while, trying to decide what to say, and 8 continued. You don't need to reply to that. Not every question is produced to get answers. Some of them are for evoking emotions or feelings, just like what you're doing to me for years. Gali wanted to interrupt here and say that what she was doing for years was not to evoke emotion, but for treatment and examination. But she decided not to do so. Such an argument would digress their focus from the main subject for nothing. And she turned back to thinking about the first question. It was indeed a really interesting question about memories. Her patient continued. As regarding what I see about you in the picture, yes, you're one of the subjects of this curse, and this curse is for to imprison you here with me through this subject. I will be the only one you will be talking to, and the only topic you can talk about. There will be no place for anything than me in your life, and this cycle will be reset in every few hours, and this explanation of mine is the end of that cycle. Now it is time to start over. Gali smiled slightly and put her glasses on the table. Just she was about to applaud her patient to congratulate Just as she was about to applaud her patient, to congratulate his vivid imagination, but her hands had frozen in halfway. She suddenly started to sweat in horror after realizing that she could not remember where she came from, where she was going to. What is this before this room or who? Why couldn't she remember these? How could she come here? How was she going to leave? Could she be able to leave or where? Was this any other place than was there any other place than this one? Her own name was. What was her name? And just as she was about to spring to her feet, she suddenly saw one of the images on the table. She was remembering this image from somewhere. Yes, this was one of the images she used with Rorschach's method. She saw with Rorschach's method. She slowly sat and reached through this image, took it to her hand. Oh wow. Took it in her hand and showed it to her pale-faced patient who was sitting just across to her. What do you see in here? I see a building with 5 floors. With 5 floors, a big building. What is happening in this story? Oh, do I like this one more than the mummy one? It's only 2 things. Well, it's a few things, but where was it? I'm not sure. She showed the next image in dark. It's just freaking weird. Wanna let's pause it, then exit and come back because something's up. Alright, let's try this again. Building 5 floors, big building. That's how I started. The 5 floors, a big building. He is in a loop. You can't tell me it's not this in darkness thing. Do. Continued. What a freaking story, though. It's just if this was show the next. Maybe not. Hundreds of people. Didn't need this either. If let's swap, go back because I don't know what's happening. Navigating stories, controls. That's not what I'm looking for. Move up the list down. Page. Oh, searching passages. May change when you visit them a second time or after you visit another story. So to discover past, you should be visiting the old stories periodically. Game, I'm not care about that. Horror, summer, other literature type to be added to the list of books while you play. Okay, so we do have to go. Okay. So we've read it. Let's go back to the Mummy. I don't think there was any. Maybe the weird, missing the cold. No, we took some off under that. I don't think anything changed. It's a send. Let's go back. Let's go back to the prisoner. It can't. Did anything change here? Nope. What's the thing that I thought it would have been? Let's go back. Huh. Some star stories may change with the mistaken time. So something actually may be different in a story. Let's do Long Grave. What could have changed? About the grave that was here. I was described the past, let me know, but I was hiding my surroundings, find my way. Buried here, this was different. That's why I left, that was already there as well. The sadness. Yeah, that's the same. So maybe the Mummy? That's not different. Burial. That's not different neither. Masterpiece. Something happened to the wife. 2 more weeks. Linen. Silence. Absolute silence. Whereas Ra, Ta, insane. Visitors. Sethos. My son. What was the name? Death. Yeah, nothing changed. Wait, what? What did I click? What did I click? I just pressed down. Let's go back. Oh, I'm so upset. No idea. Let's go. Okay, so if I go... single. What did I click? Oh man, I just pressed the down key. Black tiger. That's a lot of skips. On grave. Hilltop, willow tree, inspire wind. Oh wait, didn't something did change, didn't it? Raining, those midsummer when I first saw the grave was still woeful. Save your tears to the grave for we loved ones. Well, it was like the willow tree was covering the grave. Really, why was I there? My path wasn't near to the place none paths would. Did someone describe that path to me? No. No. Yes, I remember. I did choose that road because it was hiding my surroundings and I was trying to find my way. First, we did that. We did that. Very short. The unsophisticated grave. No name. The dress. Lorerich. No, that was the first visitor. I left with the weight of the sorrowful soul. Huh. Oops. It's so weird for me. Either way, let's end this here because I have no idea. Hence, looking down was not a curse when your soul had no up. There had to be somewhere with this one. I don't think there was nothing new here. Either way, let's end this here. I really like the stories. Is it just figuring out what to do is a different breed. Yeah. Take notes or screenshot of your passage to keep difficulty in the same level. And maybe. You may hover your mouse over that sentence and start waiting. 3 seconds, and you can click on the sentence and it will disappear. That's what's happened. That's what freaking happened. That's annoying. Alright. Hours. Oh, it is the freaking no. Let's go. It just took me, what, almost an hour and a half? Let's go back. What was it? Did we get more pages? I think we did. Mommy's opinion. Oh, yeah. I wanted to look at the weird. 3 seconds. Nope, it's not that. Missing the code. Nope. Burial. Darker than my soul. Yep, let's go. I don't think it's the slightest at all. It'll be maybe either but now or absolute silence. Nope. No. Gonna sing or it's raw. Here's with this happy, maybe it is this with this shame, maybe it was years ago. That's not it. Memories. My son. Earthquake. That's it, quite normal. What a fool I was. Okay. It had to be in this. Yeah, we got. Oh, what's that? Huh. I think this is probably my favorite at this point. It's just so creepy. 6 cherries. They've been on to create a star. Huh, no, that would have been it. Please tell me. Put the Nako tea. Fine. Read to me, the ones in our memories. And halfway. How could she leave? Could she be able to leave or? That's fine. I just rereading this makes so much sense now. Some couldn't comprehend a thing before, but they read it whole, and some appreciate the narrative of our vicious cycle. Some are sorry for you, some are angry to me, but every one of them is right. Their cycle is vicious, and its narrative is praiseworthy. But why a prisoner 8? Huh. It's 20. It's not that bad though. But a lot of pages are empty. How clear my death made my visions now. Oh, there's no smell, no feel, only sure. I don't think this is it. Technically it goes with the story as well. I went before, 2 weeks to cover my body. Oh wait. Oh. Alright, let's leave this here. This is what we've done for the most so far of All Whispering Tome. I hope you enjoy at least the stories, because I did. But thank you, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic time, and see you soon.